Welcome to another episode of Cooking with Max Power. Tonight we're going to make burger Wellingtons. We've got fresh ground sirloin. We also have the ground market pork. You're going to need a little bit of onion, a couple strips of bacon, some cheese, an egg that you're going to use the yolk for the combining it, and the egg white to wash the top of the pastry shell. Along with that is Worcestershire sauce, some garlic powder, and also some garlic onion. So depending on the amount of people that you're cooking for, in this case it's just me and the cameraman, I'm going to go ahead and divide about 50% of the meat. We're going to go ahead and put it into our pan. We can set that off to the side for now. And same with the pork. Now, when we're cooking with raw pork, you got to be real careful because of temperatures. So we're actually going to be cooking these twice. And that is a lot of meat for 2 people. But that's fun. We might make 3 burgers out of this. We're going to go ahead and chop up our kind of little pre-cooked bacon that I just did. I actually did this in the microwave for a couple minutes with a paper towel around it. I'm going to go ahead and dump that into the bucket. I'm going to do the same thing with our onion. We want to kind of dice our onion up so that it gets flavor throughout the whole thing. Plus we're going to be using some onion powder, but this will give the consistency of a nice onion in it. You'll notice in the background we still have our reduction on the stovetop. And this is part 2, even though you don't have to have the reduction with this. I just particularly like it. So now that we've got those diced up, we're going to go ahead and put this into our stainless steel bowl. I think I called it a bucket last time. So we've got our onion in. Now we're going to go ahead and add a couple shakes of our granulated garlic, some granulated onion, and honestly, you're kind of making your standard meatloaf recipe, but I'm not putting ketchup or tomato sauce into it. Now there's 2 sections on this next part. Need to go ahead and separate an egg. Go ahead and crack the egg, and we're going to open the top lightly. And we're going to get our egg white out of it, because the egg white needs to be used as the egg white wash on top of the pastry shell. Ooh, I almost lost it. Once it's done. And then drop the rest of the egg into it. Now you got a little piece of shell in here, but that's no big deal. And from there I'm going to go ahead and mix this up. You can use tongs, you could use a spoon, honestly, just use your hands. So once we get our consistency to where we want it, making sure we got everything, just break off a hunk into your hand, and you're going to make a standard sized burger. Now this is a little bit more looser than what we're used to working with because of the ground pork that's in it. Some people say to use breadcrumbs, some like to use crackers. I'll be honest, I don't like putting filler into it. And we're just going to sit this one up there and let it sit for a minute. And we're going to go ahead and make another one, and I did have enough for 3. Maybe possibly even 4 if you have small children with you. This one could actually use a little bit more. We're just going to form it in there. Let that sit for a minute, and we'll go ahead and make the 3rd patty. Even though we're not going to be using it, I could actually freeze it this way, but with the onions in it, I'd rather just go ahead and cook it. There was supposed to be a 3rd person today, but that 3rd person went to have some fun with some friends, which is absolutely fantastic. We've already got our grill nice and heated, and we're not going to cook these all the way through. We're only going to cook them for about 3 minutes on each side. So technically they're still going to be extremely raw in the center, but the second portion of this comes in on how we're going to bake it. Also too, my oven is at 425 degrees because we will be baking these once we are done. So we're going to go ahead and set these up on here. And like I said, you're going to go for about 3 minutes on each side. and we'll be back in just a few minutes. So we got our burgers on the Alfredo Healthy Grill. Like I said, it's 50% sirloin, 50% ground pork, chopped onion, a couple dashes of Worcestershire sauce, some ground garlic and ground onion with some bacon cut up. We're going to cook these for about 3 minutes on each side. We're not going to cook them all the way through because the oven is going to actually do the rest of the cooking. This is more traditionally what they call beef Wellington, which is made with a filet mignon. Unfortunately, I am on the hamburger budget, so we're having burger Wellington instead. So we're just about 3 minutes. We're going to go ahead and flip these over. We're going to let them cook for another 3 minutes. From there, we need to go ahead and get our egg wash going. And I still got that little piece of, there we go. Egg wash is pretty simple. We're just going to add a little bit of water to it. I'm going to take a whisk. And just kind of whisk it up a little bit. This will be used after the, once we get our pastry around it. Just before we put it in the oven, we brush it on the top and it makes that really nice, pretty golden brown out of it. So we're going to go ahead and take our burgers off at this point. We'll just go ahead and plate them for right now. We'll be back in just a minute. That way. So now we're ready to go ahead and do our puff pastry. I'm using the Pepperidge Farm puff pastry sheets. There are some great recipes on the back. Suggest you try them out from time to time. We've let this sit out for about 40 minutes. We're going to go ahead and bring our puff pastry sheet over. We do need to flour it on the one side, just a little bit. This is going to help from sticking. We're going to go ahead and turn it over. We're going to flour the other side also. Not a whole lot I can say if you don't have a rolling pin. Your best way, you could do it with your fingers and mat it out. In this case, all I'm going to do is go ahead and run it a couple times. And it does get a little sticky. You might also want to put a little flour on your rolling pin. And we're just going to spread this out a little bit. And hopefully we're not going to make a big mess while we're doing this. And depending on how flat you want to make it, you can probably get 2 or 3 burgers out of this. In this case, we're only making 2 of them tonight. So from there, what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and slice it down the center. We're going to take our first burger, we're going to place it in the center. We're going to go ahead and add our cheese to the top of it. And actually, we're going to add the cheese to the bottom of it. And we are using our fresh Tillamook cheese, even though fresh is a great word since cheese is aged. And on the first one, we're going to go ahead and just drench it over the top. We're going to take our excess pastry. We're going to cut it off. Take your edges, fold it over. Once it's folded over, go ahead and flip it over. I'm going to pat it all together. We'll go ahead and do the second one the same exact way. I'm going to fold it over, cut off the excess. I'm going to fold it up. Try to get it to seal because there's going to be a lot of liquid is going to be coming out of this. And if need be, you can use a little bit of water to help get it down. Once pastry dough starts to dry out, it doesn't like to stick so much. A little bit of air pocket in this one, but that should be alright. Go ahead and use a standard cookie sheet. Go ahead and put our burgers on there. We're going to go ahead and take our egg wash and lightly go over the top with it, all around the sides. This will makes it look nice and golden brown when it's done. From there, we're going to go ahead and pop them into the oven, which our oven's been at 425 degrees. And they're going to go in there for about 15 minutes. Once that's done, we'll be ready to cut them open and serve. Alright, so we should be just about ready. Now 10, 15, 17 minutes until it's done. Get them to a very nice golden brown. We go ahead and take them off. And you can let these set for a few minutes or you can serve pretty much right away if you want to. They are a little bit warm. We're going to go ahead and plate one up. Place it in the center of our plate. And if you had potatoes or condiments or anything or a salad, of course the salad will be on a different plate. We're going to go ahead and take some of our reduction. Take a nice spoon of it. Place it right over the top. Just kind of let it ooze down on each side. And I guess we'll go ahead and plate the cameramans while we're doing this also. There, we're going to go ahead and take our fork and knife. We're going to cut down the center of it. We're going to open this up. And as we can see, it is completely cooked the way it needs to be cooked. The reduction is over the top. Cheese is melting nicely. Excellent. So from there we have our burger Wellington, stuffed with cheese, bacon, onion. Just from there, just keep having fun in the kitchen. We'll come back with another episode soon.